Alright guys, it's time to reassemble our brush. We got our big pieces here. Handle for the main assembly. Alright, okay, first things first, we're going to drop the trigger down into the little hole . This can be tricky with a lot of airbrushes with a hinge joint in it. And there we go. You'll know it's in there when you push down, it springs back up again. It's because there's a spring in here. So that's the first thing we do. Next part is the trigger assembly, which is this part here. It comes in 3 parts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to need this part at the top and this part at the bottom, so we're going to just put it in there nice and gently. This can also be a little tricky, for sure. Putting this in here just right. Okay, I can see it now. I can see that end of the trigger assembly pushing on the trigger right there. Alright, now here's the thing. You're going to screw the trigger assembly in here. But you don't want to screw it in there too tight. Depending on how tight you want it, the more you tighten this needle assembly or trigger assembly here, the more spring action you're going to have with the trigger. It's gonna, if you screw it in as far as it can go, it'll be like the spring will be very stiff and yeah, it'll be much harder to pull the needle back. So you want a happy medium. You don't want it to be too stiff and you don't want it to be too loose. You want to, have a nice spring but not too much snap to it. So I kind of like, I like it a little bit tighter than that. Yeah. It's a little bit too tight. Okay, that's pretty much what I liked there. Now, the next part will be the, let's do the nozzle first. First I have to get the needle. And it's also important to lubricate your brush with some oil. The Iwata clips comes with a tube of super lube that's especially for use with airbrushes. If it didn't come with your airbrush, just go to your hobby store and ask them for some super lube or an equivalent. Just very little lubrication. I know some people use Vaseline, but I don't know, I'm not really a fan of that stuff. It's rather viscous material. This is more like a liquid. So, okay, now let's put our nozzle and our caps in. So the very first thing with the Eclipse is the nozzle sits in its seat here. And there's no screwing involved. So you just place in there nice and even. Now next comes Next comes the nozzle cap. Just want to make sure I have that seated in there correctly. Just sits in there nice and loose, like it floats in there. And screw on our nozzle cap. Finger tight. Now take our wrench and we just give it a little bump. We don't want to over tighten. Never over tighten. As a matter of fact, you know what? Never over tighten anything when it comes to tightening. You know, in a couple of cases I have over tightened things, and it's never a good idea to over tighten stuff. You know, by its very definition, you know, over tightening is not what you want. Tight but not over tight. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and put on our needle cap next, since we're doing the whole front end of the brush. Screw that. They don't need a wrench for that. That's fine. Now, next comes the delicate part, the needle. And to do this, this is the tricky part. You have to be very careful of. For this instance, we're going to be putting the needle in through the back. Sometimes you want to pull it through the front, and sometimes you want to pull it from the back. I'll talk about that more later. Now, when threading the needle in, put your finger right here. Put this opening on the ball of your finger here. Then take the needle and just guide it in very slowly, turning as you go, spinning, and if you can, push the trigger down until it rests into the tip of the nozzle. And there she goes. And there's the needle. Now we'll put the lock nut on. Nice and tight, but not too tight. Take our handle. I don't know why that's not working. What the heck am I doing wrong? Okay, and there's our brush, fully reassembled. Haven't put paint through it yet. I wanted to memorize everything about it before I do that. Okay, so that's that. It's all put back together again. And I guess that's it for now. My next video, I think I'll talk about compressors and how to use those properly and how to get the right one for you. So, hope this was helpful. Got any questions, let me know. Happy airbrushing.